walk a lonely road, only one that I have ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's only me and I walk alone. That is a song that all of you probably heard of before, called Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. That, as you can guess, is the song that I decided to choose to compare the poem to. The poem I chose was Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night. Now, when I read this assignment, I knew that I was going to compare whatever poem I chose to Boulevard of Broken Dreams. It's a great song, it's very poetic. Green Day's a great band, they know how to write songs. And when I was reading through the poems, I got to Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night, knew that was the poem that would work best with this. And then I got to think, like, what exactly is it that these songs have in common? And then I realized that there are a few things they have in common. I chose the three that are most strong. There are things like word choice, there's repetition, and there's tone. And those are the only three I could really find, so that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So we're going to start off first with the idea of word choice. Word choice is huge in both songs and poetry. In poetry, the word choice, it has a lot of meaning. Every word in a poem means something. Even the most mundane of words, if they use the word the, that means something. And in songs, words still have a lot of meaning. Like, yes, there are words, and they don't necessarily mean as much, but their use of words can make something boring sound a whole lot more. The word I'm looking for is interesting. Like, for example, you could say, I sat and thought. But if you were writing a poem or a song, you'd say, I plopped down and pondered the turmoil in my mind or something. You could go any direction of ways that make it way more interesting than I sat and thought. And in the poem, the line that I thought best showed this idea of word choice was blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. That line is so poetic. Just eyes that could blaze like meteors. So I'm not really good at analyzing poetry. I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm bad at analyzing. Maybe at least try. So blind eyes would be eyes that can't see, but they're still so bright and happy. And I believe that was followed by Do Not Go Gently Into That Good Night. That alone is just so powerful. Because if you can't see and still have so much brightness and happiness, like, you deserve an honorary award for that. Because of just you have bad luck and you're still happy. Now for the song, the line that I chose is check my vital signs, know I'm still alive and I walk alone. And that line has always struck me as just very, very poetic. How it's just, I'm alive, I'm still alone, and why bother? So you have these two lines that, from the poem and from the song, that are just really in a stark contrast with each other. Where you have Boulevard of Broken Dreams, the line of the one I just sang, it's very melancholy, very sad. Because the idea of vital signs is the bare minimum that you need to be alive. But to actually live, you need a lot more. And one of the things that you would like to be able to live is to not be alone. So in that song, yeah, the bare minimum, you're alive, but you don't have what you need, which is to be with other people. And like I said with the poem, you can't see anything, but you still are able to live beyond the vital signs, which is a very stark contrast, but I feel like that works well in this case because as the poem goes on, even with lines like that, there still is a dark undertone going on. And I feel like that's best shown with how they repeat certain lines, which brings me to my next point of repetition. So if you think about repetition, repetition is used often in poems to make something strong, like in Edgar Allan Poe's Raven is just quote the Raven nevermore every verse or stuff like that. In songs, repetition usually comes in the chorus that they sing over and over again. That's the main point of the song. Now, in the song and the poem, there are things that they quote multiple times. And in Boulevard of Broken Dreams, oddly enough, there's a chorus that they repeat, but there are also other lines they repeat as well. One of the lines they repeat often is, once I find it, on the boulevard of broken dreams. And then the other thing they repeat often is, I walk alone, I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk, and that goes on the chorus, which I'm sure all of you know. So there's that idea of just repeating something to prove importance. And in the poem, they repeat often, do not go gentle into that good night, and rage against the light. And then that's where we start to see more similarities between the two. In the song, the two things that repeats are on the boulevard of dreams and I walk alone. Now, on the boulevard of broken dreams is kind of like rage against the light. Because in case you know the next line of the song, it's my shadow is the only one that walks beside me, and you only see a shadow when it's light out. So you're seeing your shadow on the boulevard because of the light. So you're raging against the light. But in the poem, if you read the poem, the rage against the light is from people who didn't know that darkness is actually a good thing. So you have these two lines that are just very much repeated because they're so strong. Like, if you know the song Boulevard of Dreams, you'll probably sing a song, the part of it that's repeated often, like, on the boulevard, or I walk alone, I walk and maybe some other verses too, but you will eventually come across those lines because they're the most well known. Now, in this poem, it quotes those two lines, do not go gentle into the good night, and rage against the light, because they are so powerful. When you think about the idea of going gently into a good night, like, you don't want to go into a good night ever. Darkness is usually viewed as a bad thing. So why would you go gentle into a good night? But also, by the same idea, light is usually good, so why are you raging against the light? It raises that question, and it really doesn't provide a good answer to it. But even so, it's still there, meaning there's some indecisiveness, and that is also seen in the song in multiple parts, where you don't really know what's going on, but you're there anyway, so you may as well just enjoy the ride. And that overall brings me best to the third point, tone. So the overall tone that I was able to get from these two was sadness and a little bit of anger as well. But the overall idea is that whatever you do has really no meaning. In fact, I have a line here. And I'm the only one I walk alone, from Boulevard of Broken Dreams. So you're alone, you're the only one there. So there's of course sadness, but also, why are you alone? That's the other question that's being begged and not really answered. And there are tons of answers, but the one that I think would work best in this scenario is everyone left you, that's why you're alone. And if you're alone, then why bother with anything? Everything's for naught. Now, in the poem, one of the very last lines is, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. And that line is just very much powerful and sad because you have, of course, a curse, which is a swear word usually, and you'd say curses when you're angry. That's kind of how curse words work. And then the idea of crying sadness, usually even the fierce tears or angry tears, but tears have sadness to it as well. And even so, the very last two lines of the poem are "Do not go gentle into that good night and rage against the light." Those are the last two poems. And if you read another part of the poem, which I'm going to pull up right now so I can find this line. Their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Now, that line is right before the line of rage against the dying of the light. So again, there's the idea you tried to do everything you could. It's all for naught. Which is the idea of both the poem and the song. So that being said, these two are just so powerful through their idea of word choice, repetition, and tone. So with that, I'm gonna sign off for now, and excuse me. If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go and play some Boulevard of Broken Dreams.